Hi there. Over the next few minutes, I'll be doing a brief deep dive into the Jewish Youth Promises 40-minute program, so you can be fully prepared to implement the programming for your community. Before I begin, I want to thank you for the work you are doing and the impact you are having on Jewish youth and the future of the Jewish community. As we begin this deep dive, I want to remind you that the Jewish Youth Promise is a tool your organization is using to not only stay in contact with your alumni into adulthood, but a tool for your alumni to stay connected with their most immersive Jewish experiences, connecting them back to their Judaism. As we review the programming, I want to emphasize that this program is yours to adapt. We want to make sure that it fits your community and your language. There are 3 simple objectives to keep in mind when leading the programming. 1, the ability of your participants to reflect on their recent Jewish experience and their broader Jewish journey. 2, derive meaning and inspire a sense of responsibility to the Jewish future. And 3, make a promise, set practical goals, and write a letter to their future self to help maintain commitment. As you are planning to implement, make sure you have familiarized yourself with the promise and this program. Think about which videos and activities you would like to use or adapt. Additionally, please ensure you have all your materials prepared ahead of time. This program is broken down into 5 sections. I will briefly review each section and why it's important in the journey to writing the letter to their future self. We will start with Section A, Picking Life's Pivotal Moments, which should take about 10 minutes. In this section, your participants will be given/shown various impactful moments in Jewish life, from Jewish camp to B'nai Mitzvah to visiting Israel. We chose traditional images, but feel free to add your own if you so choose. Ask the participants to choose 3 which they believe are the most impactful or important to them. I like to have them share out loud and explain why they chose the ones they did. You can then further ask any or all of the additional questions that go along with this section to further the conversation. Once the discussion ends, you can move on to Section B, The Jewish People and Me. In this section, you can use either one of the 2 videos to help your participants further connect to their Jewish identity. Prior to showing the video, be sure to ask your participants what is one thing in your life or within the world that you truly care enough about to do something. This is more of a rhetorical question, but will help build upon the mindset of finding their place within their current and future Jewish communities. Make sure to review both Rabbi Jonathan Sachs' Why I Am a Jew and Andrew Lustig's I Am Jewish videos to decide which one to share. Both have the same message but are presented differently. While we suggest showing the video, it can be played over a speaker or read out loud. The transcripts are attached to the program guide. Once you have shown the video, ask the participants to think about what being part of the Jewish people means to you, and to share out loud. If you'd like to go further in depth, you can bring out a large piece of paper and have your participants condense their answers into one word and have them write it on a piece of paper, and have the other participants make connections to each other in a web format. If you'd like, you could also ask them, how would you define your connection to the Jewish people 2 years ago, now, and where you hope it will be in 2 years? Once you and your participants have had a discussion on what being part of the Jewish community means, you can move on to Section C, Inspiration from the Greats. This section should take about 5 minutes. The purpose of this section is to show your participants that being part of the Jewish people is not just restricted to how they grew up, but rather to broaden their horizon and what being actively Jewish means. Share with your participants that your role and responsibility to the Jewish people is beginning to evolve as you enter into new phases of your lives, and the needs of the Jewish community at large are beginning to change with time, which means what is expected of you will also be changing. To help clarify this statement, you should share Sivan Yaari's story on her Tikkun Olam project and social justice values that broadened her Jewish identity. Once you have shared her story, we suggest splitting your participants into pairs or small groups and asking the following prompts, which will be the impetus for writing their letter to their future self. Prompt 1. Describe what you would like your future biography to be when you are 50. You can choose any age that is distant from their current age. Then, ask Prompt 2. Pick 1 to 3 practical ways in which you will strengthen your Jewish self to reach the goals you've just set in your future biography. After the discussion, you can move on to Section D, Making the Promise, which should take about 5 minutes. Here you should explain what the Jewish Youth Promise is, and if you have the capacity, show the Youth Promise branding video. You should then say that your generation is writing the next chapter of the Jewish story and should remain a strong link in the chain of generation. Explain that tens of thousands of Jewish youth around the world have made this promise to ensure we are part of the Jewish future. It is general, and you can make it what you want, but the idea is we are part of something greater than ourselves. At this point, you can ask your participants to pull out their phones and scan the QR code or open the link you have sent to them. Make the promise and write the letter to their future self, which is section E. This should take about 10 minutes, but be sure to give your participants enough time to reflect and write their letter. Once they have made the promise, you can then say to them, we need to find a way to tap into what we are feeling or experiencing right now so that we can feel impacted and inspired by this particular experience, regardless of where we are or what we are doing in our lives. You are about to write a letter that no one will ever read except yourselves and will receive this letter at future points in your life over the next 20 years. Ask them to think about the following question before writing their letter. If you could meet yourself in the future, what would you hope to hear that you had accomplished or contributed, as well as what or who you would like to remember from this immersive experience? At this point, once your participants have all made the promise and written their letters, you can say the following to close out the program. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. You are here for a reason and should take the inspiration to accept the mantle of responsibility and write the next chapter of our people with distinction. Thank you for taking the time to watch this training. As I close, I want to ensure that while this program has an outline, it is yours to adapt. We are here to help make changes and share best practices, and we look forward to building a committed Jewish community with you to ensure a vibrant Jewish future.